about the benefits of Michael. I just want to take a moment to say thank you to all of you all for coming. This community is designed to support you in that time. It's really to utilize when things are bad and when you're at your lowest.
I started to learn about emotions. I started to learn about finding root causes, right? Starting to understand addiction and how addiction is not, once again, the issue, that we are using a negative stimulus as a coping mechanism.
Part of my mission is to make sure people know that everything we need comes in a natural form. It's already here for us.
I am determined. I am strong. And I am ready.
We must first lovingly accept what is. I often say, you can't heal a body you hate.
This is healthy blood cells. And that's what we're aiming for. So you can see the contrast. Okay? What you do matters.
Thank you all for coming. Be blessed. Goosebumps. Getting goosebumps. What's up, Seth? How you doing?
I am good. I'm wearing bright yellow today, or like a mustard. The sun was out. I was feeling my tan, still begging to hold on to it, you know.
Yeah, bright colors are always eye-catching, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't wear a lot of bright colors, and I think it's because I have trouble finding clothes. So it's like, I always like, this is like a color that most people will feel comfortable with. So because I have go to specialty shops, they have like really comfortable looking colors. I can't even find
specialty shops.
Yeah. I'm you know how tall I am.
I do, but hold on. Are you saying normal shops don't cater to tall people? That's quite
not here.
Isn't it? Oh
no. I mean, it's all about business, right? Like, how many people are over 6 foot in America? Like, men, less than 1%, I think. It's
really?
Yeah, I think it's very low.
NBA players. What do you mean? That's so strange.
That's all of them. That's why everybody think we're not that tall over here. You know, I think the Germans are taller than us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Okay.
Yeah. So I have a goal that once I get rich and famous, I'm gonna just have all my clothes made, and then I can get whatever I want.
Oh yeah, that sounds good. I think everybody's got that goal secretly, right? Who doesn't want tailor-made clothes?
Everybody wants tailor-made clothes.
Hi, Rosie.
Isn't it cool seeing yourself on the channel?
It is.
She got to come to the retreat, and actually that's one of the reasons why I played that intro, is because I wanted to make sure you guys knew that we do have our 3rd annual wellness retreat. It's going to be starting September 20th through the 23rd, I believe. So we've got a couple of months before it starts. And like I mentioned on our last live stream, this year we're going to be doing the retreat. We're going to be doing it virtually. So I want you guys to consider joining us, because it's going to be incredible. It's always an incredible experience. And I know that some people think, oh, if I'm gonna come live. Well, we have never completely packed it out. We always have a few extra seats left over, but it's usually like not in the cabin. You know what I mean? So y'all be talking about, man, I'm gonna come live. Okay. How about y'all just do the virtual retreat? Come join. It's gonna be less expensive. It's gonna be less burden. And then you'll get the experience of the retreat. And then maybe you'll be like, you know what? I need to actually come in person. And then you'll come to the live one. Because next year we're going to be doing, I think we might go out of the country.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
Yeah. So link is in the chat if y'all want to come and join the retreat. It's going to be an amazing experience. And as Steven said, I thought it was so important for you guys to hear this. If you think, oh, I'm not going to come to the retreat because it's going to be virtual, I'm going to miss out, it's not going to be the same, just remember the impact the AHA has had on your life. And this has all been virtual. You know what I mean? So if you're here watching this, you've been a part of the community for a year, 2 years, whatever, you've got benefit from it. maybe one of our challenges. We just ended our R72 challenge. Just think about that and think about how beneficial those things have been. And then imagine a more personal space, right? The retreats are a little bit smaller, they're a little bit more personable. And we also did our 40-day wellness classes virtually as well. And people got amazing results from that. So yeah, links in the chat if you guys want to go ahead and check that out. But today we have the lady of the hour. Sasha is with us again, and we did our live stream. What was it, Wednesday?
Yeah.
And people were just in the chat going boom, 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 and it was a great time. And it was going on and on, and I'm like, we're gonna have to do this again. We gotta have to do a part 2, especially because Sasha's here to talk about the lymphatic system and the benefit of using it to reverse the signs of old aging. And then we're going to be talking about a full course that's going to be available starting tomorrow, actually, that you guys can join to really learn about the lymphatic system and take advantage of it. So, Sasha, did you read any of the comments from the last video?
No.
It's okay. It's okay. After I posted the video, like the replay, you know, there were people in there talking about this live was right on time. You know, the information was life-changing. One person said, I got to rewatch it and take notes. So,
Oh,
you
that's
know,
awesome.
yeah, people were very, very grateful for the conversation. And we're all looking here to learn more about the lymphatic system, how it works, and how we can turn back the hands of time. Because, I mean, you know, I'm out here looking crispy. You know what I mean? Looking like a 32-year-old, you know what I'm saying? So.
Well, thank you for that. It's lovely. I should start to read the comments. I just didn't, sorry. But I appreciate that, and that's great. You see, the thing is with the lymphatic system, it's one of those areas, okay, that the medical system don't pay much attention to, okay, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm of the theory that if they did, we wouldn't have so many people being diagnosed with various chronic ailments and diseases so late on in the game. Okay. And the reason why I say that is because the lymphatic system is kind of one of those systems that interact with everything else. And so because of that, it's such an integral, vital piece in the puzzle of overall optimal health and well-being. And that's the reason why it deserved its own course. It deserved its own center stage moment, because it is such an important river. Okay, it's a river, it's flowing throughout your body. All right. And when you think a river, you think clean, strong, free of toxins. That's what we want the lymphatic system to be. Oh, that was me to rewatch and take notes. Shout out to you. But yeah, we think of a clean, strong, and kind of free of toxins. Because when it's murky and, you know, full of toxins and polluted, that's when it's going to impact all of the other bodily systems. All right. We know just by statistics that heart disease is the #1 killer, right? We know that. But do we ever look at what happens before those arteries are full of plaque?
Mm-hmm.
What happens before we get there?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what happens is the lymphatic system gets polluted. And when the lymphatic system is polluted, it can no longer filter out those toxins from the blood, because that's its job first and foremost, right? So we're looking at, from a medical perspective, we're always looking at the disease, the pathogen, but we're never looking at prevention. Happens before we get there. That's where we want to start. We want to start before we get there. And I know today's topic is about aging. So I just want to mention this. Aging is a process that people have kind of come to believe that it's normal. Okay, I reach a certain age and that means I should be popped down, looking a hot mess. Okay, I should have aches and pains. Everything should feel like a chore. Okay, and I should be waiting for death. I don't buy into that. I think it's a whole load of nonsense. And I truly believe that as we age, we should get wiser. We should get more financially stable.
Mm-hmm.
And we should look and feel our very best, because we should have learned so much in our youth about how to treat and care for our body. And if you factor in what I just said about being more financially stable, if we're more financially stable, we can invest more in ourselves, in our knowledge, and also in self-care practices and techniques, right? So I don't think buying into what society says that we should be on the tail end towards death. I feel like we should be the best version of ourselves. I feel like we should know a lot more. We should have a lot more, and we should be a lot more. Okay. And how this ties into the lymphatic system is this. The lymphatic system is a system that is constantly regenerating if you treat it well. If you don't treat it well, it will become a very toxic, polluted river that impacts everywhere it flows. So the reality is this: you have to look at your body as this. You know how people treat their cars? It shocks me how people, I'm not a car person, but it always surprises me when I meet people and they're like, oh, my car, you know what I mean? And they're like cleaning their car and polishing their car, and there's like all of the money going into this damn car, which is like an item that somebody could crash into tomorrow. You know what I mean? But the way they treat it, I'm like, do you treat your body like that? And even with pets, I see people with their poodles and their little dogs, and their, you know, they love on them, and I get it. That's nice. It's a sensitive thing. But do you treat your body in the same way that you cater to your pet?
Right.
To your car? Because if you don't, there's a serious problem. Because the thing is, the body is going to keep showing up for you until it can't anymore. That's the way we're designed. But why are you going to run it into the ground? You wouldn't do that with your car. If you love your car, you would not just run it into the ground. You're going to get oil changes, you're going to do services, you're going to do all the good stuff that is required. But are you doing that with your body? And the same thing with your pet. You're going to take it to the vet, you're going to go and get the nice shampoo and the haircut and all of that good stuff. But are you doing that with your body? Are you doing yearly maintenance with your body? The great thing is this is a fasting community. So everybody is kind of looking at detoxification, which is fantastic. But what about the cellular regeneration? You cannot do one without the other. I mean, you can be in a perpetual state of detox, but actually that's actually dangerous if there is no cellular regeneration. Think about it. If you're just constantly breaking down cells and never working to build new ones, what's going to happen? Mineral deficiency, you know?
That's actually a really good point, Sasha. There's a couple points I wanted to highlight that you knocked it out the park. When it comes to age, we just believe we've been here for X amount of years. We're supposed to get older. I did an interview with Matt from Cultivate Elevate. He mentioned the same thing. He was in his 20s, losing his hair, having issues, and the doctors are like, well, you know, you're just getting older. And it's like, no, he's in his prime. Like, they claim that a man is in his prime in his 20s, whatever. I mean, it is whatever they say. But I look at us like when look at the oak tree. When you plant a seed and it turns into a seedling, and then it turns into a little baby tree or whatever, you know, and as it matures, that tree, the trunk gets bigger, the roots get deeper, wider, the tree gets taller, right? The canopy becomes more enclosed and thick and healthy. And when you plant, if you try to cut down a 2-year-old oak tree, it's easy. I mean, it's still not easy, but it's pretty easy. If you try to cut down a 200-year-old oak tree, good luck. Like, good luck. You know what I'm saying? And if you do get the tree knocked down, you're not getting that stump out the ground. So that is how I believe the same thing that created that tree created us. And that is how we should be getting, as we get older, as you mentioned, we should be aging. We should be getting stronger, healthier, more wise. It should not be this deterioration. So I just wanted to add that as another analogy.
No, I love that analogy. That analogy was powerful because it is true. So true. And I do you know what? I think analogies help people to really grasp it for themselves. You know, like sometimes when we're talking and there's nothing succinct that they can go, oh yeah, that makes sense. You know, and I think it's really important because the lymphatic system, unlike the circulatory system, right? it doesn't have, and I'm talking in medical terms, because a lot of people watch this and, you know, they've come through the medical system, or they're on medication, or they're very much, you know, of the mindset that, well, if the lymphatic system was that important, how come we don't hear about it a lot?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to really encapsulate why it is not the focus, so that you can see why you need it. It's secret for a reason. Because if you understood and respected the lymphatic system, half of the ailments that you suffer with would be non-existent. Therefore, you would not need to go and visit Dr. Blah Blah down the road.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So that is, I truly believe that's a very critical component in my continuous health and well-being. Because I focused so much on the lymphatic, because the cancer that I had was a lymphatic form of cancer, that it became almost like my hobby at first. How much can I know about the lymphatic system? Where can I read about it? Where can I, like, it was just something that I was so maybe even fearful about at first. And then it became more of, now it's intriguing, because now I'm getting to see that this is hidden. So why is it hidden? And then I was like, well, if it's a secret, I want to know more, because I'm that sort of person, you know? And the lymphatic system, unlike the circulatory system, does not have those markers that the doctors are looking for. So say when you've got something going on with the circulatory system, you go to your doctor and you present symptoms, right? That's the first thing you do. You go and you sit down and you present symptoms. You present markers that they can look at, okay? You present biological billboards, basically, that give them indications as to where you're at, what's going on. Oh, the levels are not right. Oh, but with the lymphatic system, there are no levels for them to look for. It makes their job extremely difficult, which is why lymph doesn't matter. That doesn't matter, but it does. And so this is why anybody, to me, that's in the alternative world of health and well-being, if you don't study lymph, or you're not interested in lymph, you're missing a key component that gives you the upper hand in taking back the power of your health. That is the truth, because you are not going to get your doctor talking to you about it unless you've got lymphedema and they're telling you to put on a compress. Do you understand what I mean? Or take some anti-inflammatory drugs.
Right. Do they prescribe the water pills too?
Oh, they do.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Great.
And I touched on that and the water pills and stuff when I talked about hypertension in the first. I had a conversation with the AHA community in the app, and did a presentation basically on hypertension and the link between hypertension and the lymphatic system. And if you haven't seen it, go over to the AHA community and go and watch that, because it was phenomenal. People don't understand the link between chronic disease and the lymphatic system, and it plays a role in all of our common chronic diseases, all of them. I'm gonna go ahead.
I want to point something out, because we talked a little bit about my issue with my lymphatics, well, the lymph nodes on the last one.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm gonna put the link in the chat for whoever's not a part of AHA communities. You can go and join. It's free, and you can go watch Sasha's first video that she did. But I mentioned that I did have swollen lymph nodes in my pelvis area. And also during that time, I literally always got sick. I would get sick twice a year on the winter solstice and the summer solstice. That's the only time I got sick, but it was pretty much the common cold, sore throat, coughing, mucus, just, just when I cleared my lymph nodes, that the common cold went away as well. I haven't been sick. I haven't had any kind of illness like that since then. And I just put those two together.
But that's kind of how it works. Like, once you begin to, you see, lymph is associated with your immune system because of how and where the immune systems are generating. They're coming from the lymphatic system, your lymphocytes, your T cells, your natural killer cells. So if you work on your lymphatic system, what happens is you boost your immune response to things. Lymphatic system is also associated with immune surveillance And that sounds very like detective, like surveillance. But literally, that's what they are. They are looking for foreign invaders. They're on the lookout for you at all times. Is that an upward bacterial development? Let's get on that. Is that some viral components? Let's get on that. I'll give you a hit on this. Okay, so CNN reported back in 2021, okay, when everybody was getting the COVID jab, okay, they reported that everybody was complaining of swollen lymph nodes under their armpits. Okay, that was like a straight response. And they were like, oh, CNN did a whole article saying, it's not nothing to be worried about. It's a natural response to a vaccine, right? And I was looking at the articles and I was like, wow, this is the first time that lymphatic system is in the news. You know what I mean? Like, whoop, 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 we made it to the news. But the response was wrong. The response was incorrect. And I thought, well, do I really want to take on CNN? Probably not. But the truth is, right, that response is wrong. That's the body actually grabbing hold of the toxin. Remember, the lymphatic's job is immune surveillance. It has noticed something coming to the body that, yo, that doesn't belong here. This is foreign. And it has gone and tried to protect you by enlarging your lymph nodes to encapsulate the poison, literally. And so that is what is happening. And the funny thing is, people with strong lymphatic systems or strong immune systems, which probably was from good habits, lifestyle habits, right? Were able to see that lymph node come down within 3 to 4 months. But some people, we're in 2024, are still having enlarged nodes. That is an indication of a stagnant, polluted lymphatic system that is going to lead to a disease state, if not sorted out very quickly. Because 4 years of enlarged nodes is insane. Or 3 years, because it's 2021 to now. So it just goes to show again. Yeah.
I was looking at the comments from the last video, and someone had mentioned a story similar to your story about her friend, one of her long-term friends had, I can't remember exactly what she had removed, but something part of the lymph system she had removed. And then like years later as an adult developed some type of blood disease or something like that. And her friend is like, she's trying to say, I think it's because you had your this body part removed, or this cyst, whatever, the gland, whatever it was. And her friend's like, no, that doesn't have anything to do with it. Well, of course the doctors are going to tell you, no, that doesn't have anything to do with it. There's no connection, because number one, they don't have the proper testing. They're not looking for it. And number two, if they admit, yeah, we took that gland out or whatever, and now you have this blood disease, well, that's a lawsuit. That's malpractice. Like, they're not going to admit wrongdoing. And not to mention, that's just one person. They do these routine, like, you get your tonsils out. That is a normal thing in America.
Listen, it's a normal thing in the UK too. So the other day, okay, I have a niece. I have one niece. I've got 4 nephews and 1 niece. And my niece is 5. She just turned 6. Sorry. She turned 6 in June. And when I had gone to England for my granddad's funeral, I was talking to my sister-in-law, her mum, and she was saying, oh, she keeps getting ear infections and she keeps getting swollen glands, and the doctor's adamant that we need to remove her tonsils. And I just went nuts. Like, I just went into full-on meltdown of absolutely, absolutely 100% no, over my dead body, absolutely not. And she was like, well, Sasha, everybody gets a tonsil. It's not a big deal. I'm like, listen to me. You say that from a state of ignorance because you don't understand. I understand, and I won't let you do that. So it's that simple. We're going to fight on this. I am telling you now, that is my niece. You are not doing that. And she was like, okay, explain why. And we had a big, long chat about why. And she was like, okay, no, definitely not. And I was like, you know what the crazy part is? People don't know. And they see their baby in pain or in discomfort. Right. And the immediate thing is to, well, okay, let's take it out. You know what I mean? And that is the scary part. And that is why this course is not an optional course. This is not one of those courses where you can go, I could probably take it, but I'm not sure if it's for me. It is for you, because everybody you know has a lymphatic system. Everybody. There is nobody that is alive that does not have a lymphatic system. So therefore, the course is for you. It's for you and for everybody you love and care about. It is. And that is why it's so important that when you approach your health and well-being, you don't approach it from an ignorant and selfish standpoint. And it's very easy to do that because you may feel like, well, I don't have an issue with my lymphatic system. I don't have swelling. I didn't have my tonsils removed as a child. What's it got to do with me? Like, I don't need that. But the truth is this: you have a heart that is beating. Therefore, you have lymphatic vessels that are supporting the functionality of that heart beating by clearing the toxin and the debris so that the blood can flow through the capillaries into those arteries to make that blood pump. If you don't have the lymphatic support, you are going to have a backlog. There is going to be stagnation of blood, and you are going to have arterial plaque develop. And we know very, very clearly that once that develops, it is very difficult to reverse. It can be reversed, but it takes a lot of effort. Now, that's one side of the thing. Let's look at another way. We've got cancers rampant. 1 in 3 people are getting cancer. Cancer is abnormal cells. The lymphatic system is responsible for clearing abnormal and dead cells, dead tissues. That's its job. Okay. So if you are scared or concerned, you know somebody that had cancer, you have family members that had cancer, maybe you have co-workers that had cancer. Lymphatic course is for them and for you, because maybe you'll be the person that can teach them, or you pass it on and they can learn for themselves. But the point is, it's for them too, because if cancer is something you're concerned about, then you need to learn about your lymphatic system so you can support it in clearing up those dead cells, those abnormal cells, making sure that that river flows, that toxins can leave the body, so that you don't have the onset of the proliferation of cancerous cells. And one more point is obesity. And I'm just talking about the main 3. We talked about heart disease, we talked about cancer. Let's talk about obesity. Okay, so we've got obesity. We know that it's an epidemic. It's rampant right now. Little children are obese, okay? Mm. And oftentimes we're saying, it's because they're greedy. People are greedy. That's not what's happening. That's not what's happening, okay? There is metabolic syndrome that is taking place under the surface here. Poor dietary choices, lack of exercise does have a point to play. Okay, but nutrient void foods such as processed foods are a major culprit. Then we have lack of hydration, which creates stagnation in the river of the lymphatic system. That means things cannot flow, which creates chronic inflammation. Then we have toxicity from environmental toxins, but also from the disgusting things that we call food that isn't really food. So you've got to see that when we talk about obesity, it's actually a problem of society. It is not a problem of people just being greedy. I wish that narrative wasn't the narrative, because it's not that. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes it becomes an addiction. Yes, because you become addicted to the toxins in the food. The excitotoxins say, come back for more. And your body responds to those chemicals because you've created these chemical pathways that say, I need more of that, give me more of that. And the body's adaptable to whatever conditions you have it in for long enough. Right. But it's really important to understand that the lymphatic system is the key and the secret key to all of these onslaught of diseases and disorders. If you want to take a proactive approach, an approach that doesn't leave you with multiple side effects, that doesn't leave you needing more treatments, then your lymphatic system is the place to start. It works with your gut health. It works with your liver. It works with your nervous system. It works with your hormonal endocrine system. This is a system that is integral to the health of all of your other systems. It's a no-brainer. And when it comes to aging, you've got to remember this, right? The lymphatic system is your defense and cleanup crew. If you didn't clean up anything ever, you're gonna get old. It's gonna look tired. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Think about a house. If you never cleaned your house is not gonna look clean and new and fresh. It's gonna look tired, worn out, and dirty. Try sell it. No one's gonna buy it.
Sasha, I want to make a comment because you mentioned the dead cells, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think people know what that actually is. I need you guys to understand what the cells are. They are little U's. They're little single-celled U's running around. They have organelles, they have feces, they mate. Like, think about a squirrel dying in your in your air duct, you know? Sometimes they'll get in the house, a squirrel will die up there or something. Think about the smell that you get. It's all through your house, right? It's in the air duct. And the reason why is because in the air duct, the bacteria and the nature that's typically there to help clean that dead body out is not available there, right? So it rots and it ferments and it smells, and all of the natural things that should happen to break that thing down and to eliminate all of that and to send that squirrel back to the earth as dirt, that's not happening. And so when you guys have probably millions of these dead cells in your body that are doing that everywhere. And that's what's gunking up your lymphatic system as well as other systems in your body. And then as that kind of begins, you're not going to be sick instantly. Like, it's not going to be like, oh, you've got one dead cell and now all of a sudden you've got cancer. Like, it doesn't work like that. You know, it's over time. It's almost like a micro trauma. Over time, you're eating the processed foods. You're not grounding. You know, it's just all this stuff's happening. And then the sludge builds up. It's slow. The stagnation, your hair starts falling out. You start getting wrinkles. You get dehydrated and you start looking old. And here's the crazy part. If we identify the signs of old age with our health and not with age, right? Let's remove the narrative that, oh, you're just getting older. Let's say, okay, poor health equals the signs of old age. It lets you know how much quickly how quickly we're aging compared to our parents. Yeah. Because you know, when I was younger, my parents and my grandparents died with a full head of hair. A full head of hair. It may have been white, you know, it might have been salt and pepper, but they had all their hair. Then my dad started balding in his 50s, maybe. I don't, you know, hard to really say, but let's just say his 50s. I started having thinner hair in my 20s. Oh, am I just getting older faster? No. My health is declining at a faster rate than my forefather because the processed food, the foods have changed. Monsanto is going crazy. They are not just spraying the crops, they're genetically altering the crops. So whether it's sprayed or not, like you're getting, you know, this toxic signal to your DNA. And this is what's causing all of the aging and all the deaths and all the disease. It was one of the major things.
You know, it makes me laugh, right? Because when we went to Jamaica the other day, and I was with all my cousins, and I am the third oldest out of all the cousins, right? And there are 14 of us. And so in terms of the cousins, but there was more than 20 of us as a whole because I had aunties and uncles and stuff. But we were there, and it was funny because everybody kept saying, Sasha, you look like one of the youngest. It's crazy. It doesn't make sense. You've been through cancer, right? And you're one of the oldest. Yet you look like one of the youngest. And I was like, yeah, I'll pay you later. Yeah, keep on talking, you know. But my brother, who is 6 years younger than me, was like, no, sis, it's real. Like, honestly, all my friends think you're my younger sister. Like, when I meet new friends and stuff, and I show them your pictures, and they're like, that's your younger sister. And I'm like, and he's like, no, that's my older sister. And she had cancer. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, bruv, because that's because you smoke a lot of weed. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that will age you. It's dehydrating. Even though it's a plant, it's dehydrating because you smoke it. Do you know what I'm saying? It just is. And he was like, yeah, I need to work on that, which he hasn't done that yet. But he did decide after we came from Jamaica to go completely plant-based, not forever, but he's doing it for a period of time because he wants to see how he's going to feel and just like the regeneration process, because he was like, you know what, I'm going to give it a try. I just want to see how I'm going to feel. And I said, you know what, even if you did it for a couple months, you will feel a difference, because it takes 4 months for the blood cells to do their life cycle for the red blood cells. So even if you know, said 120 days, I'm going to do a challenge to myself, right? You're going to see some changes. He was like, you know what, I want to do it because I don't want to look older than you. I just started laughing. But it is true, right? And before I get into more of the aging piece, which I will, I just want to jump on some of the common signs of a malfunctioning lymphatic system. And the reason why I want to do this is because, like I said, this is the secret sauce, okay, in terms of that river. And I want you to be aware that you've got to pay attention to your body, because you're the person when you go to the doctor who tells them what's wrong with you anyway. Right? So you really need to start paying attention. So one of the common things is swelling, right? We all know that when you get a bit of swelling, okay, it's that the lymphatic system is now holding on to fluid, because the job of the lymphatic system is to create fluid balance. It's always looking for homeostasis, which is another word for balance in the body. Okay, now that's one of the main jobs that it deals with. So whenever you have swelling, you need to understand that the lymphatic system is either working overtime or there's some compromisation happening. Okay, even when you have swelling that comes and goes, so it doesn't have to be consistent swelling. It could be swelling that comes and goes. It is still challenged lymphatic system happening, okay, in the background. Even when your clothes and your jeans and stuff, you put them on one day and they feel a little bit tighter. I know the first thought is I've gained some weight. That's not always the case. It could just be that you're a bit more bloated and swollen because your lymphatic system has not been working efficiently to release the water. Don't always, oftentimes people are fasting even. If they're not drinking enough water during their fasts, they may find that the lymphatic system, if they have some dysfunction already existing in the lymphatic system prior to fasting, they may find that happens. They retain some water because they're dehydrated. So it's really important, one, when you're fasting, and Chris will tell you this, to hydrate effectively. But secondly, to pay attention. Start to pay attention to what your body's doing, all right? You may also find that you feel a heaviness in your body. This happens a lot. People feel a heaviness or a tightness and like an aching in certain areas of their body. This is also lymphatic, okay? It happens a lot when people work out a lot. Oftentimes they think, oh, it's just muscle. Not always. There is always a lymphatic component, because remember, the exercise is stimulating the lymph. If you have blockages in your lymph, you've now interrupted those blockages and you may feel a heaviness, a tightness, an aching. All right? It's just a sign to let you know. Don't stop exercising. Keep on exercising. Increase the water. Increase the hydration. Increase the good structured water from fruits and vegetables. Okay, you may also know that you've noticed that you've got a restricted motion in some of your limbs. There could be like a swelling in certain limbs. This is very common for people that have had cancer, people that have not changed their diet or changed their lifestyle and have gone through down the medical route of radiation or chemotherapy or immunotherapy, even radiation, right? May have swollen limbs. If you've had those swollen limbs, I'm telling you now, that is a sign that the lymphatic system is really dysfunctioning. It needs some support, okay? Skin changes, a massive one for lymphatic. Skin, okay? A thickening of the skin. Blemishes coming out of the skin. Discoloration of the skin. Blisters, even like, you know, when you get those spots that leak water, those big pussy lymph, think lymph, because the skin is the biggest elimination organ. When the lymphatic system gets blocked up, the skin wants to get it out. And so it will create these pimples with water to try and get the lymph fluid out, these toxic buildup out of the body, okay? Pitting is another thing, okay, which is basically when you press down on the skin and it indents for a moment. That is a big sign that the lymphatic system is compromised. Okay, so these are just, I just want you to think about these things as you're going through your life and stuff like that. We will be talking about it more in the course and more in depth, and of course, how to fix these things, more importantly. But I just want you to be aware, these are the things. Reoccurring infections. If you're constantly getting an infection and it's coming back, you get an infection more than once a year, I am telling you, your lymphatic system needs some support. There is no reason in a healthy body that you are getting infections, because your immune system is designed to see it, immune surveillance, grab it, and handle that. Okay? Then we have fatigue. If you are constantly feeling tired, like general malaise, you are just like, oh, everything is a chore. That is your lymph, because think about it. If the river is polluted and toxic, oxygen is not flowing through the body the way it should, because remember we talked about it. The blood is responsible for the lymphatic. They are working together. They're like neighbors, next door neighbors. The lymph is coming and it is pulling, okay, taking out the toxins from the dead cells, from those blood cells. That's what the dead cells are. They are blood cells, right? The dead tissue. If the lymph is not doing it, what happens? The dead tissue and cells stay in the blood. Of course, you're going to feel tired. Of course, you're going to feel sluggish. So headaches and vision problem also are related to lymph. And the reason being is, and we're going to talk about it in the course, we're going to talk about lymphatic. It's the lymphatic that circulates the brain. That is really important. You do not want toxins and dead cells accumulating in your brain. Neurodegenerative diseases are rampant. They are on the rise. Everyone you know is getting dementia, Alzheimer's, and all of these things, okay? It's the lymphatic system that is toxic, that needs to be flowed out, right? We need to be removing it. And there are specific ways to do it, and we need to discuss that in the course. And of course, the obvious one, we talked about it in the first course, digestive system, digestive issues. It's another elimination organ. When you have constipation and you have constant bloating, gas, all of that, and permeability of the intestinal wall, like leaky gut, you better know that the lymphatic system is involved. Okay, there is a very clear component in the microbiome and the lymphatic system. It's a whole topic that I talk about in the first week of the course, so that you can begin to understand how they are very much codependent. There is a codependency. Okay, there is a gastro lymphoid component. They work together to make sure that the immune functionality, or the immune systems that are developed or grown in the gut, are supported by the lymphatic system. So yeah, there's a great communication there. And if you've got wounds that are slow to heal, then yeah, again, it's lymphatic, because it goes back again to the blood. All right, so these are just some of the things that I wanted to touch on, because it's really important. Joint pain, inflammation, obviously it's lymphatic. Anytime there's chronic inflammation, it's always a lymphatic situation. And swollen lymph nodes, well, that speaks for itself. Swollen lymph nodes that don't go down, okay, that are not leaving and they are hanging around, your lymph is begging you. It is not talking to you, it is begging you to change, do something now. Okay, whenever you have swollen lymph nodes that do not go away, please, before you go and do a biopsy, begin to work on your lymphatic system.
Wow.
Give yourself a few weeks to work on your lymphatic system. The reason why I say this to you is because when you go and do a biopsy, okay, think about it in this way. Let me do an analogy like this. Okay, so you've got all of these toxins that are flowing, okay? Then the river gets stuck, because now it's backed up, okay? And it's created something to help you and encompass all of it, encapsulate it all in one area. So let me just give an example. So say you've got a swollen node right here, okay? And it's big and it's hard and it's there. And then you go to your doctor who knows nothing about lymphatic, because it's not an area that they're focused on. There is no dedicated doctor for lymphatic, okay? So they're just coupled in with your cardiologists. They're just coupled in with your endocrinologists. They're coupled in with all, because remember, the lymphatic goes to every system. So when you go to them and you say, I've got a swollen lymph node, first thing they're going to do is test to see if you've got an infection, a cold. because the body will grab a cold, it will hold on to infection, right? And then when you say, actually, no, I'm not presenting any other symptoms of a cold or a flu or an infection, they'll say, okay, we need to do a biopsy. And that means they're going to pierce a hole in that toxic encapsulation. Okay. And when they pierce a hole through that encapsulation, what happens if you pierce a hole through a balloon full of garbage? Okay. And where does it leak into? One, your bloodstream. Okay. Then the blood is going to be toxic. But then the lymphatic system that's already backed up, remember, that's how you got this, is going to go into the blood to go and pull out the dead cells and the dead tissue. Well, your lymphatic system's already screwed. So how is it going to do that now that you've just bust it and sent it even more into the blood? Come on now. Let's make it make
so
sense.
good. Oh my goodness.
Make sense.
Jeez. This is insane. What's crazy is my grandma, when she very first started her health journey, she was like in her 60s. She's 91 now. So, but she mentioned that when we have tumors and things of that nature, we go to the doctor. You know, the doctor will often just be like, okay, cut it out. If it's benign, they might say leave it alone. But oftentimes you'll get it cut out. It's the exact same thing. But I never thought about the actual biopsy exacerbating it, because we just think, oh, it's just a little needle prick or whatever. It's, it's non-invasive. It's no big deal. But you got to look at the micro. You're looking at the macro level. You got to look at the micro level and what that actually does. And if you understand that is a balloon of trash and filth, right? You would obviously never do that. That is so good. You just saved somebody. That's good information.
So I just, I feel like when it comes to the aging process, a lot of times people are like, oh, let me take this anti-aging product. Let me buy this expensive product, right? Or let me go get Botox, which is just more toxins being filled in, which also compromises the lymphatic system. Or, or let me get some fillers, like, I don't mean to laugh, but once you begin to understand the insanity of it all, you can't help but to laugh, or you'd drive you crazy. It would actually drive you crazy.
Yeah.
Is a goiter due to lymphatic issues? Not necessarily. A goiter has many components to it because it's also thyroid related. So there's a hormonal impact in that. So I would recommend that you join the course, because we will talk about all of the common diseases and disorders. And so that will be good for you to gain an understanding of what's going on so that you can make informed decisions. Because I know the doctors will be giving you their view on what you need to be doing. And I think before you decide to do anything, it's always good to be able to have a round picture.
Right.
Of, more information. More information gives you more power to make real decisions for yourself.
It's interesting that in life, we are always taught to get second opinions. If you go to your mechanic and the mechanic gives you a price that for whatever reason shocks you, or if he says, you went in for a small noise and he's like, oh, it's going to be $3,000. You need a new engine. Yeah. Whenever anything comes, it's crazy. It's like, man, this treatment seems crazy for what the symptom is. You always are told, go get a second opinion, right? But when it comes to doctors, when it comes to your health, when it comes to that traditional medical system, it's never like, yo, go get a. And when I say second opinion, I'm saying like, you're going to go to the same doctor at a different hospital, right? They're all taught the same. They all have the same ideologies, very, very similar perspectives. I'm saying like, you're not going to go to a naturopath, or you're not going to go to a herbalist or a chiropractor or something else. You're just going to go, when you go get a second opinion, just going to another doctor that's in the same, they work in the same garage. Does that make sense? Like, it's not the same mechanic. You're going to go to his buddy in the same garage and ask him, like, is what he's saying legit? Yeah, of course it's legit, right? And so I find it interesting that, our common sense in other areas of our life, it just goes out the window when it comes to the health thing. Like, how does that happen?
Because of fear. Because of fear. That's why. Lack of knowledge and fear will do that. You know? Yeah, lack of knowledge will have people do things that make absolutely no sense, right?
Yeah.
And it will be because somebody said, do you know what happened to so and so when they didn't go and look about that? You know, I mean, I talked about the definition of ignorance, right, in the other live that I did on in the AHA community, and I talked about it just meaning the ignorance is a lack of knowledge, it's a lack of information. That's all it is, right? And we've all been ignorant at some point in time.
Yeah.
And the thing is, ignorance is a decision, because you can go and seek information and you can go and seek the knowledge. At this point, we're in a world where knowledge is everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? It's really the key is discernment, being able to discern what knowledge is correct and what knowledge is a false knowledge, right? And one easy way to do that is by looking at the fruit. I say the fruit because I talk about it in terms of the Bible. That's just the way I think. But when I say the fruit, I mean the evidence.
Mm-hmm.
The evidence. Okay, evidence-based is always best. And I know oftentimes you hear doctors say, oh, it's evidence-based, it's evidence-based, but their stuff's not evidence-based, because they don't listen to people like myself who have come through their system and now say, but I've healed.
Right.
And here is the evidence.
Right.
Here I am. And here is what I've done, and here is what I do. That is discounted. Oh, no, that's not evidence. She might be here and it's nearly 10 years, but no, that doesn't count.
Yeah.
We'll go by the stats. We'll
Yeah.
go by some stats that we had a white paper done.
Right. You're an anomaly.
Yeah, and the stats show that, people don't live after having anaplastic large T-cell lymphoma. They die within, a few months at stage 4. Once it's in the spleen, they're dead within a few months.
Yep.
That's not the truth.
Nope.
The truth is the body is wonderfully, uniquely made. We are designed to heal. We are designed to regenerate. We are designed to detoxify in order to regenerate. Which brings me into aging, okay? And I'm going to make this quick because I want you to join the course, people. You're not just going to get everything without being in this course. One thing I learned in my health and wellness journey, you have to commit to it. And committing isn't just showing up for a free live, because anybody can do that. Committing is putting your dollar up front and saying, I want this. I matter. I want to be the change that I want to see for myself, for my community, for my family. And that means putting something out there to do that. So when we talk about aging, I always look at my way to support my lymphatic system with the anti-aging protocol that I live by is juicing. Now, some people may choose water fasting. I choose juicing because I'm better at it.
Yeah, there you go.
And the truth is this. The reason why is because by reducing the food intake, right, for a period of time, it allows the body to focus on healing and eliminating. We know this.
Yep.
And then when that happens, a magical thing happens. Inflammation reduces. When inflammation reduces, that's a result of toxicity reducing. If toxicity is reducing, that means the lymphatic system can get to work.
Mm-hmm.
It can get to work. You've moved all of those blocks out of the way. All of the things that were in the way for it to do its job, you've now made it a lot easier for it to get to those dead cells that are floating around in the blood. Because you're not bringing any more stuff in. Not only are you doing that, but you're also, in my case, because I'm a juice faster, I'm also flooding the body with new nutrients, structured water, full of vitamins and minerals, which is not only bathing my cells, okay, with life, but it's also creating new cells, which is where the anti-aging comes in. So you see the picture. You stop bringing in the rubbish, you take out the old, you bring in the new, it creates new cells, it creates new vitality, new life, And hey presto, you are creating new cells, which then create health. Because you got to remember, right? Everything works in tandem. So once you do that, your liver says, hold on, I want some of this action. Let me get rid of my old cells. Get over here, lymph, and clean up me up too. And then if you're smart and you've done one of your challenges, which includes the liver flush, now they've taken it to another level. Did you see, like, it's a building block, and that's why this program is so important. This program wasn't designed because, hey presto, I want to be famous on YouTube. I couldn't care less. I've got a YouTube channel and there's nothing on it. That's the truth, because that's not my goal. That's not my aim. My aim is to share how you can support each bodily system individually with the aim to create the whole picture of cellular detoxification and regeneration as a whole. You cannot achieve true wellness, not true sustainable wellness, in isolation. You cannot do it separately.
Right.
And fasting is the most powerful tool to get there, whether it's juice fasting or water. Wherever you are on the continuum of fasting is wonderful, but understand this point. You cannot just detox without rebuilding. You cannot. It is not a sustainable process. So anyone that's saying, well, I don't really care about these courses that she's doing. I just want to be part of the fasting community. I just want to fast. And I appreciate that. But understand this. You can do that. But eventually, you're stirring up all the old stuff with nowhere to go. Yeah. Nowhere to go. Because the pathways aren't open. And the lymph river of clearing that stuff out is your key to getting and filtering out the rubbish. You want to be young? You want to unlock the fountain of youth? You got to start with your lymphatic system. That's the way to do it.
It's interesting because somebody just asked me on one of my other channels if fasting ever hurt you or if it plateaued and blah, blah, blah. You know, I get those questions from time to time. And, you know, I've talked about I call it the dark side of wellness, where you fast, you fast, you fast. You do not do the regeneration. You do not support yourself through, you know, your dietary habits and getting the minerals and things you need. And yeah, you will develop new issues because you're playing a game, like you're playing a, you know, like a deadly game, really. You know, you can't just focus on one thing and then, you know, go eat McDonald's and you know what I mean? And so
and it's the same for, like, sorry to cut you, but it's the same for, like, when you talk about refeeding. Refeeding's not a game. Do not fast if you're not going to dedicate time to refeed properly, because all you did there is you hurt your digestive system. If you fast and you put it to sleep for a minute and then you literally wake it up with garbage, there was no point in putting it to sleep. There was no point. You harmed yourself. You messed up your microbiome big time, and it takes a lot longer to heal your microbiome. So, you know, if you're not going to do things properly, don't do it. But then don't pretend that you care about your health. It's one or the other. You know what I mean?
Got to take it seriously. Sasha, I want you to give them the information about the course, when it's going to be starting. Someone asked, are the videos recorded? Let's give them all that information. Yeah.
Okay, so the course is starting tomorrow. July. What's July 7th? Yeah, July 7th. Yeah. Tomorrow at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard, 7 p.m. CST. Okay. Now, they're on Zoom. So what that means is it's a very interactive course. All right. You can be as interactive as you like. If you don't want to be on camera, that's up to you. You're missing out on the full experience, because if I can see you, then I might pick you. And we can chat. And that's the way I like to approach things. So I'm going to be lecturing the first day. So that's Sunday. So it's in kind of this structure. Sundays I lecture. Thursdays is a time for us to really connect. It's a Q&A session where you come prepared with your questions. All right. You submit your questions on a form that are in the AHA community. So if you are joining the course, you are going to join the AHA community app. It is completely free, but that is the best way to connect because they have just a wealth of information in the community in general. Everybody's always talking and supporting one another. Okay. And it's a great way to get in contact with me too. You can get in the DM and send me a message too through there. But in the app, that's where the Q&A question form will be. Okay. And you will put in your questions. They will be given over to me and I will address each and every question on the Thursday. And anyone that was in the gut course can attest to the fact that I do answer every single question. One day we were on for 3 hours, okay? Because I am very diligent in making sure I'm not going to ask you to submit questions and I just ignore you. What was the point of that? Okay, this is your opportunity to get on one-to-one for free, literally, even though we're in a group. I'm answering your question. What matters to you? Okay, and then in that format of me answering that question, it allows everybody else in the group to also hear the answer to that question. It might be a question that also they wanted to ask and they didn't. You know what I mean? Some people aren't confident up front asking a question. So I'll tell you now, it's $119. It's the best $119 you spent. I'm not even lying because the truth is this. Nobody's doing this course. And anybody that is doing this course, check out their credentials. And I'm not trying to sound arrogant, but if they don't live and breathe lymphatic health, then the truth is, do they actually really know how this works? This lymphatic system was what nearly killed me. I nearly died because of a stagnated, toxic, polluted lymphatic system. I had cancer in my neck, my armpits, my groin, and my spleen. Anaplastic large T cell, which is the lymphocyte that we're going to be talking about, the immune T cell, the natural killer cell, was full of cancer. It is the fluid that travels throughout your body from your brain down to your toes. And mine was at stage 4 terminal cancer in 2014. Today we're in 2004 and I don't have any of those cancerous cells. And I'm here teaching you what I did for $119. Get out of here. It's the best thing you've ever heard of. I'm sorry.
Come on. Forget about it. Like it's
you know what I mean? Like what?
Forget about it.
I just said it and I thought, what am I doing? Am I nuts? What's that mind?
Value, man. People have to understand value, and it's an issue sometimes in our community where we don't understand value. We only value tangible things, meaning a car or some jewelry, or we don't value knowledge. I actually this past 12 months, I have dedicated myself to purchasing books, and I'll get first edition books. I am changing my perspective on value because like the knowledge is invaluable in my opinion. And so I'll spend $200 on a book, $300 on a book. I've spent $500 on a book, on a book. Like we have to start valuing knowledge, because if we have the right knowledge, there's nothing that we can't accomplish. Everything is possible. You just have to know how. So I want you all to go check the link. I put the link in the chat. For those who are listening after the replay, the link is in the description. We've already had several people in the chat, the live chat, talk about their experience in the class. Several people mentioning they already signed up. I did create a pay for option for you guys. So if cost is an issue at all, it's the best I can do. I was able to create an option for you guys to pay in small increments. And I mean, that's it. So make sure, if nothing else, to join AHA communities. I'll drop the link in there, and it'll also be in the description box. If nothing else, you guys can come and stay connected. The AHA communities is free. So Sasha, is there anything that you need to let them know before we wrap up?
I think the only thing is this, right? There's this whole thing Everyone's talking about self-love and self-love and self-love. You know, we hear it everywhere. It's like the trending thing. Self-love, self-love, self-love. But the truth is this, there's no true self-love if you're not going to invest in your longevity. That is what self-love is. If you're not going to invest in the best version of yourself, which would require you to have your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health, then I'm sorry. Don't talk about self-love. I don't want to see no one hashtag self-love. Like, that's not self-love. Buying anti-aging cream, okay, and getting Botox shots is not self-love.
Yeah.
That's a shortcut route to more toxins flooding your system.
Right.
Like, I'm just being real. Like, you know what I mean? People ask me all the time, what do I put on my skin? Oh my God, you've got lovely skin. What do you put on your skin? I put shea butter on my skin. Shea butter. It grows on a tree. And that's what I use. And if I don't use it, I don't feel good. Like, you know what I mean? Simple. I don't feel good. And that is what I use. And it's so funny because I went to Jamaica, okay, and everybody got mosquito bites, except I did not get one. Not one. Look at my body. Not one mosquito bite. Not one. Okay. I was in the mountains, in the bush, okay, looking at all the different plants, picking aloe vera. I was there with the moringa. I was in the bush. And my sister was there like she even got bit in her face, like everywhere. They got eaten alive. And I was there having the best time with the heat, out there listening to music, just vibing. Even when it rained, I was outside and everyone was like, Sasha, the mosquitoes, it's raining, come off the balcony. And I was like, no, I'm not worried because they don't like me. And they're like, what do you mean they don't like you? I said, my blood is clean and I cover myself in shea butter. They don't like me.
They can't get through that shea butter.
Exactly. And they didn't bother. They did not bother, right? And so I tell you now, when I talk about self-love, it really is just treating yourself like this is the only vessel you're ever going to have in this lifetime. Do you understand? Yep. So love it better than your car, better than your pet, and better than you even love your kids and your significant other.
Yeah.
Truthfully.
Yeah.
Because I know for a fact, a lot of people prioritize their kids ahead of themselves. And I was once one of those moms, so I get it. But the truth is, when I got sick, who would have looked after my kids?
Right.
And that's when I realized priority shift, perspective shift. I have to be the best version of myself so that I can be there to be a living example for them. What's the point of being a dead example? So guys, yeah, I've done enough talking. I'm out of it.
All right, if y'all want to tap in with Sasha, I mean the chat's just been blowing up. I'm signing up. I already signed up. So.
Well, I hope so. Do you know why I hope so? Because I know for a fact, right, that sometimes it's really hard to envision life being different if you're in aches and pains and challenges and all these different things, right? It might be hard to envision if you've got financial difficulties even. Okay, but just know that everything is temporary. Everything is seasonal. But you have to learn to be able to change. So you have to learn different financial skills to be able to manage your money better. You have to learn different ways to treat your body in order to feel better. But if you ever want to change, it requires something from you. You can't just wish it. It's not going to happen. So I do hope people are signing up, because the truth is your lymphatic system is going to set you free. Once you understand how it works, you stop becoming a bystander in your health. It's time. You deserve it. Like, why wouldn't you? I don't get it. I don't get people that wouldn't. It's weird to me. Because I tell you now, Chris, I spent thousands getting my life back.
Wow.
And every penny that I spend on college courses, on bloody practitioners, on supplements, on retreats, like whatever it took, I spent it. I don't even know. I don't even want to count how much, because it probably would make me have a headache. But over the years, I have spent so much money on recreating and getting my health together. And Not all of them even worked. Some of them was just nonsense because there were just some charlatans out there. You know what I mean? But the truth is, I would not go back and change any of it for the knowledge it gave me.
Right.
For the wisdom that it's given me. For the ability now to be able to impart that wisdom in somebody else, and for them to not have to go through all of the, false starts that I went through.
Yeah.
Now I have a clear vision on what works, what doesn't, and I'm willing to share it with you. I could keep it to myself, but what would that do?
Yeah.
Told you that I'm trying to have the legacy like my granddad. Yeah, that's the goal now.
All right. Well, listen, y'all. Thank you for joining us. Help Sasha build her legacy, and we will see you all tomorrow in the course. All right. Starts tomorrow.
All right. See you tomorrow.
7 p.m. Central Time. Peace, everybody.
Bye.